this show, and I guess most recognisable transgender couple in the UK, Hannah and Jake Graf, join me. It's so good to see both of you. It seems so strange that very recently, we were on talking about the Trans is Human project, and here we are just a few short weeks later. And I just would like to know what this is going to have, the effect this is all going to have on your lives. You, Hannah, what effect is this going to have?
I mean, it's having a very real impact immediately. As a trans person in society, this gives so much validity to people who want to hate trans people, and that is happening right now. That you start to worry about leaving the house, you start to worry about, going to the bathroom. We've got 2 young daughters and taking them to the changing rooms for a swimming lesson. How are we supposed to operate? How are we supposed to feel? And it just feels like a complete discriminatory step, these guidelines.
It's just very sad, isn't it? It's just sad. And you must be really worried about your family. I mean, we've followed you. Of course, we have the past 10 years. We've seen you meeting each other, getting married, having 2 beautiful daughters together. We've seen all of that, just getting on with your life. And now this.
Honestly, we're both reeling. It feels like 2 weeks ago, we were allowed to use the loo, and we were allowed to live our lives. We never had full equality, but we were living our lives.
Yeah.
And there was always the niggle of transphobia. But what's just happened, because of this Supreme Court ruling, the HRC has taken it to the most extreme possible lengths they could have done with their guidelines, which hopefully won't be made into law. And these guidelines now say that I'm not allowed to use the men's toilet or facility because obviously I'm not a biological man. But these guidelines also helpfully say that I'm not allowed to use the women's toilets either. So I am now, as a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen of the UK, being told that I'm not allowed one of my most basic human rights, which is to use the loo. And when I'm out with our 2 little daughters, what am I supposed to tell our 2 little girls? I'm sorry, Daddy can't take you to the men's room because the government says he can't, and Daddy actually also can't take you to the ladies' one because Daddy isn't allowed to go into either because the people that run this country have said so. It's honestly heartbreaking.
I mean, as far as anybody, I would think, would look at both of you. You're a man. You're a man. That's what you are. Hannah's a woman. I mean, that's there you are. I don't really see an argument against that. And I mean, surely it's just about acceptance, isn't it? And this is all that you've ever wanted.
Yeah, I think the very frustrating thing is how quickly this has happened. So we're less than 2 weeks from a Supreme Court ruling, which many people have come out and said, including prior Supreme Court judges, saying that there is no obligation under that law to prevent trans people from using the bathroom of their choices. And yet we have an equality watchdog who is now so quickly now advocating for segregation. Like, I don't understand in any other world, in any other minority group, where advocating for segregation would be a positive thing. So why is it okay against trans people?
The issue seems to me, I know it's complicated and all of that, but it's predatory men that we're talking about, hiding behind, self-identification. Surely that's what we should be looking at.
But those predatory men, there was a wonderful post actually put on Instagram by a woman called Deborah Joseph, who was ex-Glamour editor, and she said, if you ask most women to make a list about what they were really scared of and where they were scared of, trans women don't feature on that list. And in all fairness, most people are worried about predatory men out and about in a bar or drink spiking or so on. Very few will say I'm worried about a predatory man coming to a toilet because it's just something that doesn't really happen. There are risk assessments done. These things don't really happen. And it's always, throughout history for some reason, when it was, the race movement, when it was about gay men back in the 80s, it's always brought down to bathrooms, and we don't want them in our bathrooms and our toilets. It's a really weird place that we keep going back to. But what this does mean is that Hannah, every time she leaves the house now, has to worry about where she's going to go, where she can go to the loo. Every time she's left the house in the last 2 weeks, I've said to her, please baby, be careful, please keep your voice down, please just be safe. Every morning she leaves the house now and I worry about her. And that's surely not right. We haven't done anything wrong. We haven't harmed anyone. 2 weeks ago we were living our lives, as I say, using loos. Now all of a sudden, every time I walked into a men's room yesterday, I thought, should I be doing this? And what we just ask ourselves as we sit on the sofa every night is, why do people hate us so much? What have we done that makes the world, that makes society, that makes the government hate us so much that we have to keep coming on this sofa and having this conversation and fighting so hard just for what is really a basic human right to be able to function and move through the world and just go to the loo.
Yeah, I know that there'll be a lot of people watching who will feel huge compassion for both of you and want to know, what can we do to help? I mean, first of all, I don't understand how we've got here, but what can we do? Is there anything that we can do?
Yeah, and I would say that the outpouring of love I've had from friends and family and colleagues has been really positive, which tells me there are a lot of people out there who don't agree with what's happening, and that's actually probably the majority. But I would say, if you know someone trans in your life, now is the time to reach out. The trans people in your life are scared or worried and are trying to think about how their future will be. Please reach out for your support. And if you don't, or if you do as well, I really think now is the time to speak to your MP. I think this is going to end up in Parliament. I think this is going to end up in legislation somewhere. And now is the time to go and speak to your MP. And you don't need to be a human rights lawyer to be able to say to, in a letter to your MP and say, I am worried about the impact of trans people, and I want to make sure they are protected in any upcoming legislation.
Yeah.
Tell that to your MP today, because they need to hear it.
And how do you feel about the, there are very high-profile people who've been celebrating this new ruling that may or may not happen, like J.K. Rowling, like people like that. And I know it's been something that, has been bubbling away, but this has a huge impact on both of you and on your daughters' lives. So what would be the reaction to that?
Honestly, it all just feels so cruel. It feels so unkind, so spiteful. It just feels like surely no one would want to, as their legacy, to celebrate the rolling back of rights that have been in place for decades without incident. Why would you want to be a symbol of hate and of division, of polarization, and of a society that's so broken that certain members of it are, as Hannah says, just completely cut out? They're talking about a third space for trans people. We belong within society. Hannah served her country for a decade. Hannah put her life at risk every day for the people of this country for a decade. And now the people that run this country are once again asking her to put her life at risk every time she leaves the house, when she's meant to go to a men's toilet or a men's changing room or a men's space. And that's not right. It's as simple as that. This is just, I don't understand why anyone would celebrate or be proud of having had anything to do with this.
But I think it is important that our community and our allies, we are frustrated. There's a lot of anger out there. We have to direct that into the right place.
And be together, be unified, I would say.
Saying angry things, or social media is not the place to talk about this. You know what I mean? It's like we have to look to our politicians. We have to look to process. We have to look to our communities to say, how can we support each other? Don't take this out on people. That doesn't help.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for both of you that you're having to go through this. It's just not right. It's the only section of society that's being treated like this right now, and it's just not right. It really isn't. Keep up the good fight, and thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. But I can't believe, like I say, a couple of weeks ago it was almost
so positive, so happy.
It was really positive. Really
change in a heartbeat. Hold on to your rights.
Yeah, hold on to your rights. Absolutely. Thank you both very much indeed. Well, there is, as always,